2024 has been a whirlwind of events that have captured global attention and sparked widespread debate. From political upheavals to environmental crises, these events have not only dominated headlines, but also prompted discussions on their far-reaching implications. Here are the 10 most controversial global events of 2024. Number 10. Ukraine's ongoing conflict. The war in Ukraine, which began in 2022, has continued to wreak havoc in 2024, causing immense suffering and geopolitical instability. Despite numerous international efforts to broker peace, the conflict shows no signs of abating. The war has led to widespread destruction, with major cities being heavily bombarded, resulting in a humanitarian crisis of epic proportions. The civilian population has borne the brunt of the conflict, with countless lives lost and millions displaced. The international community remains deeply divided on how to effectively respond. Some countries have provided military aid to Ukraine, while others have called for diplomatic solutions. The conflict has also strained relations between Russia and Western nations, contributing to a tense global geopolitical landscape. The continued fighting has significant implications for global security, economic stability, and the future of international relations. Number 9. Climate catastrophes and global heat waves. The impact of climate change has been starkly evident in 2024, with unprecedented heat waves sweeping across various parts of the globe. Countries such as India, Australia, and parts of Europe have experienced record-breaking temperatures, leading to severe health crises and numerous deaths. The extreme heat has not only affected human health, but also caused widespread agricultural damage, threatening food security in many regions. The situation has reignited debates on climate policies and the urgent need for global cooperation to mitigate climate change. Despite the clear evidence of the devastating effects of global warming, international consensus on effective climate action remains elusive. The heat waves of 2024 have underscored the critical need for immediate and sustained efforts to address this existential threat. Number 8. Russia's political landscape. Russia's political scene was thrust into the global spotlight with the March 2024 presidential election. President Vladimir Putin's grip on power was reaffirmed, though the election process faced significant criticism for its lack of transparency and genuine competition. Opponents and international observers have highlighted issues such as voter suppression, media censorship, and the marginalization of political dissent. This election has further entrenched Putin's control, raising concerns about the future of democracy in Russia. The continuation of Putin's rule is seen by many as a setback for political freedoms and human rights in the country. The situation has also strained Russia's relations with Western countries, which have been critical of the election process and its outcomes. Number 7. Iran's elections amidst unrest. In March 2024, Iran held its first elections since the widespread protests of 2022. The elections were marked by low voter turnout and a general sense of disillusionment among the populace. The regime's efforts to consolidate power amidst economic hardships and ongoing social unrest have raised serious concerns about the future of democracy in Iran. The elections took place against a backdrop of severe economic sanctions, widespread poverty, and political repression. Many Iranians, particularly the younger generation, have expressed frustration with the lack of political freedoms and economic opportunities. The government's response to the protests and its handling of the elections have drawn widespread international criticism, further isolating Iran on the global stage. Number 6. Southeast Asia's scam farms. A deeply disturbing development in Southeast Asia has been the rise of scam farms, operations run by transnational crime syndicates that exploit trafficked individuals for labor and sexual exploitation. These scam farms have been particularly prevalent in countries like Myanmar and Cambodia, where weak law enforcement and political instability have allowed such activities to flourish. The United Nations has reported on the horrific conditions within these operations, where victims are forced to commit crimes, including online scams, under threat of violence. The scale and brutality of these operations have shocked the international community, prompting calls for stronger regional cooperation to combat human trafficking and protect vulnerable populations. Number 5. East Asia's demographic crisis. East Asia is grappling with a severe demographic crisis, with birth rates plummeting to unprecedented lows. Japan, in particular, has recorded its lowest birth rate since record-keeping began, with only 1.2 children per woman. This demographic decline poses significant challenges for the region, including labor shortages, economic stagnation, and increased pressure on social welfare systems. The aging population in countries like Japan, South Korea, and China is a cause for concern as the working-age population shrinks and the number of elderly people requiring care rises. Policymakers in these countries are exploring various strategies to address the crisis, including immigration reforms, family-friendly policies, and incentives to boost birth rates. However, finding effective solutions remains a complex and urgent challenge. Number 4. The UAE mass trial. The UAE has come under intense scrutiny for its handling of a mass trial involving 84 human rights defenders and political dissidents. These individuals, many of whom have been imprisoned for over a decade, face charges related to their activism and political dissent. The trial has been criticized for its lack of transparency and allegations of torture and unfair legal proceedings. Human rights organizations have condemned the UAE's actions, calling for the immediate release of the detainees in a fair and transparent legal process. The mass trial has highlighted broader concerns about political repression and human rights abuses in the region, drawing significant international attention and criticism. Number 3. Forced deportations in Afghanistan. The humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan has been exacerbated by the forced deportation of hundreds of Afghan women from Pakistan and Iran. These deportations have left many women in dire poverty and vulnerable to exploitation and abuse. The situation in Afghanistan remains precarious, with ongoing violence, economic instability, and widespread displacement. The international community has called for better asylum policies and protection for Afghan refugees, emphasizing the need for a coordinated response to address the humanitarian crisis. The plight of Afghan women in particular has drawn significant attention, highlighting the urgent need for support and intervention. Number 2. The surge of disinformation. Misinformation has emerged as one of the most severe threats in 2024, according to the World Economic Forum's Global Risks Report. The spread of false information, particularly through social media and other digital platforms, has undermined public trust in institutions and fueled societal divisions. This issue has been exacerbated by the use of advanced technologies like AI to disseminate disinformation on a large scale. The impact of disinformation has been felt across various sectors, including politics, public health, and climate change. Efforts to combat this threat have included calls for stricter regulations on digital platforms, improved public education on media literacy, and the development of technologies to detect and counter false information. The challenge of addressing misinformation remains significant, requiring coordinated global efforts and robust policy frameworks. Number 1. The Gaza conflict escalates. The conflict between Israel and Hamas in Gaza has reached unprecedented levels of violence in 2024, with over 186,000 reported killings. This staggering death toll has reignited allegations of war crimes and genocide, drawing widespread condemnation from international bodies and human rights organizations. The conflict has caused immense suffering for civilians in Gaza, with countless lives lost, homes destroyed, and families displaced. Efforts to broker a ceasefire have repeatedly failed, leading to ongoing violence and instability. The international community has been deeply divided on how to address the conflict, with some countries calling for stronger intervention and others advocating for diplomatic solutions. The Gaza conflict has significant implications for regional and global stability, highlighting the urgent need for a comprehensive and lasting solution. The human toll and the political complexities involved make it one of the most pressing and controversial issues of 2024. That's all for today's video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and hit that subscribe button for more insightful content. And make sure to ring the bell so you never miss an update from our channel. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.